A major global issue that we seem to be facing right now is the issue of pollution and what is causing it. Fossil fuel emissions are a huge contributor to greenhouse gases, and there has been a rush to attempt to minimize these as much as possible. People want to know what they can do to help, and many have turned to electric vehicles as a viable solution. But are they helping or hurting?
While electric vehicles run off electricity and not gasoline, which would seem a lot more environmentally friendly, we must consider the sourcing and production of these batteries.
Are electric vehicles the future, or are they just another contributor to our carbon footprint? Although hybrid cars, and specifically hybrid engines, appear relatively new, the idea of hybrid engines has actually been around since the late 1800s, with the first patent for a hybrid rail car being filed as early as 1889. The hybrid car was then later developed by Ferdinand Porsche in 1901. In the late 1800s to early 1900s, the world showed a lot of interest in electric and hybrid engine cars. However, technology made gas cars the more consistent and reliable vehicle of choice. As the years went on, gas-powered engines were the most convenient to use and mass-produce. However, as you all know, gas engines are known for polluting the air, and even more so then than they are now. And in the 1960s, the U.S. Congress reintroduced the idea of electric cars as a means to cut down on air pollution. Yet electric and hybrid motors saw very little advancement in technology to improve them. Again, in the 1970s, with the oil embargo raising gas prices, new interest was placed on electric motors, along with the U.S. passing a bill to increase the research of improving electric and hybrid motors. However, with all these pushes for advanced technology and the fight for cleaner air, there still hadn't been any success with hybrid engines until we came into the 1990s. Technology finally started to come around and allowed the possibility for a more reliable, consistent hybrid engine. In 1997, Toyota began to produce hybrids, with their competitions Audi and Honda following in pursuit. With continuing advances in technology and research, hybrid engines are improving, becoming more reliable and sustainable. Since 1997, over 12 million hybrids have been sold, and as the desire for better air quality and less pollution increases, along with an ever-increasing gas price, the future is only looking bright for hybrid engines.
The production process for an electric vehicle battery consists of many steps. It begins with an electrode roll, which is coated in a slurry that either negatively or positively charges it. This roll goes through a cutting machine that cuts thin layers into smaller rolls that are then placed in an oven that dries the smaller rolls of any remaining moisture. Once the smaller rolls are dry, they are cut into small book-sized pieces, and they act as either the anode or the cathode, depending on their charge. Each cell in the battery is composed of an anode, a separator, and a cathode. These layers are stacked by high-speed robots and then bound together by small welds. Once they are sealed together, they are bound in an aluminum foil material for protection. After they are injected by an electrolyte liquid that allows the ions to move to and from the positive and negative layers in the cell, they are aged to allow the proper chemical reactions to take place, and then they are charged. These completed charged cells are stacked in groups of 4 to form a module. Each module is then placed in another metal protective casing. These protected modules are put together into the vehicle's complete battery pack, which is sealed and placed onto the frame of the vehicle. The smallest of electric vehicle battery packs will contain 48 modules. That's 192 battery cells.
People think that the lithium-ion batteries of cars, like the new Teslas, are just an issue of finding enough lithium, but it's much more complex than that. In discussing sourcing the raw materials, let's focus on the Tesla Model S. In the Model S, there's only 63 kilograms of lithium, and the whole battery pack weighs about 453 kilograms. These cars are becoming more and more sought after, and therefore the raw materials within them face some challenges. Is there enough of all of them to go around? Right now there is, but production is set to skyrocket in the next 10 years, which is where we may face issues. In each battery, there's an anode made of graphite, an electrolyte made of lithium salts, and a cathode where the formula varies. In the Tesla Model S, it's about 80% nickel, 15% cobalt, and 5% aluminum. Nickel and aluminum are cheap and plentiful, so that's not really an issue there. The issue we face is mining cobalt, lithium, and graphite. Cobalt, mined primarily in the Congo, is especially worrisome. Child miners, or child slaves, are common. An example is Dorson. He is 8 years old and is one of the 40,000 children working daily in the mines of the DRC.
Haya ninatumika naenda mkono yenye maka na mbavu na alikula tunapita kile nilima.
Miners dig into rock using simple tools and no protective clothing or safety measures. Deaths go unregistered, and many of the survivors live with chronic diseases from the poor conditions. Prices of these materials are going up, a lot. If Tesla really wants to source them in North America, which sounds great and is what they say they want to do, raw materials are going to need to somehow be found here.
So we were led to ask the question, do hybrid and electric vehicles help reduce greenhouse gas emissions? And the answer is, it depends. In 2006, published data from various sources were used to perform economic and environmental comparisons of 4 types of vehicles, mainly conventional, hybrid, electric, and hydrogen fuel cell models. This study revealed that the economic efficiency and environmental impact of the electric car use depends substantially on the source of the electricity. If the electricity comes from renewable energy sources, the electric car is advantageous compared to the hybrid. If electricity comes from fossil fuels, the electric car remains competitive only if the electricity is generated on board. So this brings up another question that's really important to consider. Where does our energy come from? According to the U.S. Energy Administration, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, or the EIA, in 2016, the energy that came from natural gas, coal, and other non-renewable energy sources accounted for 65.4% of the total energy produced in the U.S., whereas the energy produced from renewable and clean energy sources accounted for only 14.9%, 34.6% if you include nuclear energy sources. So, projections for where our energy will come from in 2040 indicate that the increases in renewable energy sources will be minimal compared to the rest. So if you're a hipster in Oregon who gets his electricity from hydroelectric energy generators along the Columbia River, it's probably safe that using a hybrid or electric vehicle will help reduce greenhouse emissions. However, if you're not one of those people who gets your energy from sources that are renewable, if you live in areas where you get most of your electricity from coal or natural gas, then chances are, rather than just burning that fuel in your car, you're just burning it somewhere else in order to get that same effect in your car.
So basically, it depends. Fossil fuel emissions are a very real global issue, and something definitely needs to be done about them. There's no doubt in my mind that electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles are a step in the right direction. Ideally, someday all of our power will be sourced renewably, and we'll have fair mining practices in places like the Congo. For now, electric vehicle sales show that we as a people desire a better alternative, and hopefully this will incentivize other markets to go green as well.